Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Out for Coffee.
With Mike and Lori.
Hey,
Now,
Rob.
Mike, you better explain why my ugly mug is where Lori's should actually be, because people are going to be wondering what's going on here.
What is happening?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Well, Rob, I want to start with I'm really glad you're here to join me today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here as always.
I want to share that we don't have Lori with us today because she is taking a little personal time, as we all need to once in a while, right? So she's doing a little self-care and looking after herself. She misses us deeply. She tells us, at least.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. We tell her that we miss her too, so it kind of goes both ways, I guess.
So we thought we would continue on with her blessing, of course, that we would continue on and shoot some new episodes. But she sends her love to everyone and certainly wishes that she could be here. But until that day, you're stuck with Rob and I.
Well, yeah, that's hopefully that's not going to be too long.
Yeah. Well, who's going to take us off conversation if Lori's not here?
That's true, because without Lori, we're not going to end up in left field quite so badly. That's for sure.
Right. So we'll just consider Lori's just on a little coffee break is what we'll call it. There
absolutely. She'll be back.
She'll be back.
She's not far away. She's probably hiding in the background as we speak, actually. But anyway, yeah.
Hi, I'm Mike Crabb.
And I'm Lori Schultz. Welcome to the show.
We'll have some caffeinated conversation.
And maybe some special guests along the way.
Who knows where the conversation will go? You're out for coffee with Mike and Lori.
But we should let folks off the hook here, Mike, and let them know that they don't have to sit and listen to me all day, because we do have a guest host today. So introduce our guest host for us, please.
I am very excited to introduce, we have a guest host joining us today. And this guest, I've been friends with just more recently, but we've developed a really wonderful new friendship. And she has an incredible journey of self-care and healthy eating choices and such. And so we thought, what better thing to do, to say Happy New Year to our audience, but also to share in maybe some other ways we can make choices as we move forward. So I would love to introduce our guest host for today, and that is Joanna Wilcox. Let's welcome Joanna out here, Rob.
There's Joanna. I think we'll get her. See if we can get her on screen here in a minute. Oh, there she is.
Hello, hi. Joanna. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome to the show.
I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. We thought, what better way to kind of kick off our new year, and Happy New Year to you as well, too. But what better way to kind of share in our personal experiences of maybe setting some resolutions and making some choices in our life that we want to help us grow forward.
Boy, if you guys are going to start talking about New Year's resolutions, then I'm gonna step out, because
we know how Rob feels.
Well, I'm never very good at them anyway, but yeah. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave you to it, and I won't be far away, but I'll step back.
We'll call you in a minute, Rob. Thank you for setting us up. But hi, Joanna. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. Had the day off today, so
lovely,
refreshed.
Oh, that's a good way to feel, eh?
Yeah.
And so for you, what are New Year's resolutions? Are you into New Year's resolutions? Do they anchor your year?
Well, Mike, I'm into New Year's resolutions. I'm just not very good at following them personally.
So you're right with the rest of us then?
Well, I like to set my jaw is like clicking. Can you hear that?
No, I will tell you if I can. No, I don't got anything.
Okay, that's good. I would like to say that I set a lot of New Year's resolutions. I'm a big goal setter, and for some reason I can't help myself but to set some New Year's resolutions. It just feels like something. I don't know if it's because there's such a lull before New Year's, work's down and Christmas is over and you're just kind of sitting around the house. So what else better do you have to do than kind of reflect on all the areas of your life that are lacking But I tend to set way too many goals, way too many lofty goals, and then I forget about them by like February 1st. So I like to set goals year round. I'm
Okay.
like a serial goal setter, and I love to challenge myself and to uh, just like develop myself personally. That's something that I'm really into. It kind of keeps me motivated throughout the year. But one time a year, like I get it. It's a fresh start. It's the New Year's, and everybody wants to just do a little bit better than they did last year. And I think that's fair.
Right.
But I
The
just
spirit
forget.
of it is great, right? But you just forget and then fall back into old habits.
Yeah, like usually there's one thing I have going on that seems to lead. I think I've told you before I did like my jump rope challenge. But I think what I have a habit of doing is setting goals kind of in December before I get to New Year's. It's like I want to beat everybody to the chase. Like I need to end my year on a really good note instead of starting it on a good note. Like I like to flow into the new year already doing some good things.
Interesting.
Yeah, so but I did 365 days of jumping rope, and I was not a jump roper. But I started that, I think it was in December, and then did it for the entire year nonstop. It didn't matter if it was cold outside or if I was jumping in my basement or if I was jumping at work. I would always get my 1,000 jumps a day, and I would track it with my Apple Watch. People are
Right.
always wondering, like, are you counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? But I had a special app on my watch that would count the jumps for me.
That makes
It
it
was a
easier.
fantastic experience because I learned all these different tricks, and my cardiovascular ability got really, really good. I was able to test my heart rate like over time. You could see this consistent drop in my resting heart rate. And then after I hit 365 days, like I dropped the rope and I haven't touched it in almost a year.
It lost its pizzazz,
Oh,
eh?
it was a grinder. It was really, really hard for me. So happy that challenge is over, but I do look at the rope. Like I see it when I go downstairs. So I was like, I need to get back to that. So I think I'll try to do that. Maybe that'll be my New Year's resolution.
How long does it take to do 1,000 jumps on a jump rope?
Not very long.
Yeah, I feel like it
When
wouldn't
I
take that long.
actually when I first started, it took I don't know if you can hear that, but sorry, that's my kid yelling. I am a mom of two.
It's bound to happen. It's better than
Yeah,
Lori's dog Meaty causing ruckus the whole time. So
yeah, maybe better. I don't know.
we'll see.
I now I've lost my train of thought.
I was wondering how long it takes to jump 1,000
Oh,
jumps.
yes. So when I first started, I think it was 24 minutes that it took me to get the 1,000 jumps in. I would do as many as I could and then like sit on the couch until I could continue.
Right.
By the end of it, I think I got under 6 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy moly, that's growth.
Yeah. But there's probably some people in the world, like speed jumping is a thing. And I think there's some people that have probably could do it in like 2.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
But we're not them.
No,
You're
I'm not them. And that progress for me was important. And you should always just compare yourself to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in comparison kills joy with anything. Stop, just focus on yourself. And
It really does, doesn't it?
yeah. So tell me a bit, because going back to your goal setting, so I briefly shared before we brought you out how I've known you, but we didn't actually mention how I know you. I've only known you a short while, but we've developed a really wonderful friendship in this short amount of time.
We have, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that includes also as playing the roles of husband and wife to one another in the show Calendar Girls, which we did in October 2022.
Which was such a ride. That was wild. I can't believe I even did that this year. You know, when I started the year, I didn't know I was going to get cast in a play, meet you and all these other wonderful people, and have to memorize all those lines and try to cry on stage and all this crazy stuff. So,
well, that's what I've grown to admire about you in our time of getting to know each other is your ability to set goals and hold yourself accountable to them, because you this was your first ever show, correct? Like you've never been on stage.
No, I did improv,
Right.
which I wouldn't really say is comparable. But yes, it was my very first delve into theater. Finally got the guts up. I'm 38 years old. I've really thought about acting and wanted to do it my entire life. And then just finally decided, yep, I saw the audition notice. I just decided to go for it.
Well, I'm really glad you did because you were a wonderful partner to have in the show, and it was great to see your process as a newbie to the scene, right? Of how you, how you managed your time leading up to that. So you did a really great job of what we call being off book, which means you have everything memorized. Considering how few lines I had in the show compared to you, I was quite far behind. I needed to set my own goals, I think.
Well, see, the difference is you've done it before and I hadn't, and I had like a very strong fear of embarrassing myself in front of a whole lot of people. So that was my motivator. So I memorized my lines by walking and listening to the script with a gap for my lines, and I would say my lines until I got it. So I would walk for an hour and I would go through the script, and I would actually speed up the script.
Okay.
So I could get through it in faster time, and I'd be like saying my lines really, really fast as I was walking around Woodstock like a crazy lady.
Well, do you audibly say your lines out loud to yourself, or do you say them in your head?
No, I would say them out loud.
So that's a huge process of it. And what's really cool is your choice to go for a walk while you do that. I'm hearing more and more about how people go about learning their lines for shows. And often if you're doing something else while you are practicing your lines, whether it's going to the gym, going for a walk, cleaning the house, it triggers a different part of your brain, and it picks up a little different. So I think you were just naturally onto something.
I guess so. It was it was a special app, and it was recommended to me by Shannon, who is also in the play with us, and it was so helpful. But I was thinking today when I was getting ready to do this podcast, I bet you I could not remember those lines for the life of me now.
It's amazing. Once you don't have to worry about them anymore, it's gone. The show is gone.
It's like the jump rope. It's like jump rope, like we're done, and I just tossed it over there. My brain, that folder of my brain has just been put somewhere else.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all, eh? So now, when I first met you, it was cool to get to know you because I got to learn a bit about, what drives Joanna, and I learned about your following. You have a really wonderful social media following, and you go by the name KetoinCanada. Tell me a bit, just a little bit about your journey with social media.
Ooh, yes, I've grown a very nice online community, I would call them. I don't really ever say followers. They're more like, it's definitely a community. I've been doing social media or having my KetoinCanada account for 6 years now. And I first started because I was about 60 pounds overweight at the time, and I was always trying different diets and weight loss plans, and every one of my friends were so tired of hearing me talk about it. Like they're like, can we just not talk about how much you weigh right now? And I was like, I'm sorry. So I realized that there's communities online of people that would be actually kind of interested to hear about how much weight I lost this week, or how much water I was drinking, or who might encourage me along on that process instead of trying to get me to zip my mouth about it. So I was like, I'm going to go where people want to talk about this, and maybe there's other people on a similar journey that would also like to share that story. So I posted a video of myself in my bathroom in my sports bra, and I also I was being naive. I did not think anyone local would ever see this. I don't know why. I feel like now it's everything local gets shown to you just by proximity. But so people really seemed to enjoy the content that I was sharing, which was surprising to me. And I started really growing a following. And I think I had about 5,000 followers when one day it was like someone I knew liked one of my posts. I was like, I've been found out. Like, it was actually sickening to me, because when I posted the video online, I wasn't in a place where I was happy or proud of the body I was kind of showcasing.
Right.
I was more like, look how much I've let myself go. And I know like there's a lot of body positivity movement and stuff that probably wouldn't be the most acceptable video to post these days. But for me, it was just like, I just felt like I was at the end of my rope, and it was kind of, I was giving up, and I was going to try this diet called keto, which is where the name KetoinCanada came up with. And it was something I was just driving in the car with my husband and pulled it out of thin air. There was not a lot of thought that went into it, though it kind of has a ring to it, and it's become, people sort of compliment me on that name now. I don't know why, but it has a nice ring. So I started, that's basically how I started. And then my social media following just grew really, really quickly after that. A little bit of a side item, I am in marketing. So I did kind of know how to market myself and made very intentional choices in growing my social media following. It wasn't by pure luck.
Right. It takes a lot of tactful thinking and planning, and just managing that social media on its own is quite the job, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I have a full-time job still in marketing, and my social media endeavors and work is all part-time on the side, as well as having, the 2 kids and doing the plays and all the other hobbies and friendships and things that I do. So yeah, I have a full plate, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. And it's been really fulfilling for sure.
Well, and I'm sure it continues to draw motivation for you, right? Of knowing that you have a following of people that care about you and are interested in your journey. It's nice to have people to
Yeah.
continue to share with, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I think I really started my social media at a time when I needed community, and I was really lacking that in my day-to-day life. And let's get really deep here. No, let's not. But I did really find that. I was able to make friendships with people online, and there's a lot of people who've been following me all these years. They comment on like how big my kids have grown, and they're excited to see how Carter's progressed at hockey, and they'll write me and say, "Oh my God, do you remember when he was like Bambi on his skates?" And I'm like, "I do," and it's just like warms my heart that people still remember those moments as well.
Right.
That I've shared. I've had people say that like I've been a topic of conversation over the dinner table. Like, did you hear what Joanna was doing? Which is so funny, but that's why I'm there. Like, I wouldn't be there if I didn't enjoy conversing with people and responding to messages and helping other people on their own weight loss journeys. And it's nice to give support and also receive support as well.
Very cool. What was it about keto that caught your eye? Like, what you said, you were trying all sorts of different things. Why keto?
I think I must have came across a before and after photo. And that's exactly what happened. I was on the site Reddit. Do you know what Reddit is?
Yeah, I know Reddit.
So I was on Reddit and I was looking at weight loss photos, and there was a girl who was like, in 8 weeks, I went from this to this. And that was it. I was like, in 8 weeks, if I can go from this to there, I'm going to try this out. So that's exactly what I did. And I actually had really great results I did weigh-ins every single week, and I ended up losing 45 pounds in 6 months.
Wow.
Which was a drastic change. And then I ended up losing another 15 pounds over the course of the year. So I was 60 pounds down in the year, day to day.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that seems like a huge change in a short amount of time, really. How did you feel during that? Like, I feel like that'd be exhausting.
Oh, exhausting? No, it wasn't. And here's the funny thing, it was just strictly diet. I didn't exercise at all the entire first year that I was following a ketogenic diet. So I just changed the way that I was fueling my body, using fat for fuel instead of carbohydrates for fuel. And it was one of the easiest. I was shocked because I was such a yo-yo dieter, and I struggled so much. Like, I had a post, I remember I was like 2 weeks in, and I decided I wasn't going to have a cheat meal. Like, I was just going to follow keto 100%. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I ended up lasting over 1,000 days of following keto, because the diet was just so satiating. Like, it makes you feel full. And I really enjoyed the food that I was eating, which made it really manageable to do for the long term. I don't follow the same mindset anymore. I'd rather not have intense restriction in my life. I need a little bit of balance. But yeah, and miraculously, like, I was shocked that it worked and that I was able to lose the weight and that I could stay as consistent as I was. And I tried to explain it to people over and over again. Like, I don't think you understand what a freaking miracle this was for me, because I was really not in a great place before. So to be able to like make that transition and feel really quite like a different person. And then my whole life changed too, because with the KetoinCanada platform, I had people asking me to speak. I was going to Toronto. I was on stage in front of like hundreds of people, telling my story, going to smaller events and sharing my story and shaking hands with people. I had a table at a fair and people were lined up to meet me and take my photo with me. It was so bizarre.
Oh my goodness.
I know, it was crazy. So, and then COVID happened and I had gone to Italy and I ate all the things because I was in Italy. And then when I was in Italy, that's when COVID started. And I
Right.
came back and I really struggled to go back to it. And so I spent a couple years kind of waffling back and forth. And should I go back on keto? Should I not go back on keto? Should I change my whole social media? And I kind of just took a break and tried to make things work. I had a little bit of weight regain and now I'm back to keto again, and really happy that I kind of stuck with it and came back to it, because I have this saying, like, you can learn, like, how many times do I have to learn the lesson that my body really enjoys eating a high fat, low carbohydrate diet? And that is the easiest and best way for me to maintain my weight. I don't know how many times I have to learn it, but I swear this is the last time. Like the universe, like, I know, okay, I get it. I
hear
I can't eat
you.
pizza every day and stay thin. I get it.
Imagine that. Wouldn't that be a wonderful world if we could just do whatever we wanted? So tell us, there's I'm sure a lot of people that aren't familiar with keto at all. I'm somewhat familiar. I've had friends do keto and find success in it, but I haven't found people as passionate, and I feel, I don't know if well-rounded is the word to say. I just feel like you're so comfortable with speaking to it. Can you share with us, what is the keto diet?
Sure. So keto diet, or a ketogenic diet, is a diet that it's supposed to be moderate protein, low carb, and high fat. So they say moderate protein, but you don't really need to eat moderate. You can eat high protein, high enough to like maintain muscles and grow your muscles and all that stuff.
Right.
But essentially, like, if you eat low enough carb level carbohydrates, grams of carbohydrates, which we can get specific, it's like 20 grams is sort of the magic number. I eat up to 30 grams of carbs a day, and that's net carbs. I feel like this is going to get really complicated. How do I simplify this for you? Okay. So if you're following a low carb diet, you're probably eating around 100 grams of carbs a day.
Okay.
That's like when people say, I'm on Atkins or whatever. If you're following a ketogenic diet, you're more likely eating 20 grams of carbs or less a day, which is a very, very small amount. It's probably as much as is in a cup of Cheerios or less, maybe half a cup of Cheerios. I don't have the exact numbers. And in comparison, probably the average person is eating 220 grams of carbs a day. So it's a really big shift in how you eat. And essentially, when you're eating a carbohydrate-based diet, your body breaks down the carbohydrates into glucose and then uses it for fuel. And that's why you'll see, like, when people are running a marathon, they're gonna, eat a big pasta dinner the night before. So they're like loaded with carbs, so their body has something to burn. When you are on a ketogenic diet, your body actually, what happens is, once you've used up all the carbs that are in your system, just magically, your body switches and starts using fat for fuel. So that's stored fat and the fat that you're eating, which is great. So when you eat a higher fat diet, you're actually like giving your body energy through the fat, and you just don't have the carbs.
Interesting. So what does a typical meal look like for you? Or I guess every meal is a little different. What would you eat for breakfast?
Well, Mike, as you know, I eat the same thing every day. I eat this yogurt bowl. It's a beautiful thing. There's a lot more options now in the ketogenic world than there were 6 years ago when I first started. You can get bread, so you can have toast if you want. You can get keto-friendly bread or wraps. A lot of people eat like bacon and eggs, because that is like a easy keto meal, because there's basically no carbs in that at all. Right. Personally, I eat a yogurt bowl with fresh berries. Berries are the lowest carb fruit that you can eat. I put some pecans in there for some healthy fats, and I even have chocolate chips that I add on top. It's like a dessert bowl, and I love it. I eat it every day, and then I'll have bacon on the side, whether it's turkey bacon or regular bacon, just because I'm trying to keep my protein levels high, because I also strength train and work out, and I'm trying to be fit.
Okay. And what about a supper? Like, what does a typical dinner time look like?
So this is like the healthiest way that I eat, that I have eaten in my life. And essentially why is because it's basically protein and veggies. Like a really simple meal is either like broccoli or cauliflower or zucchini noodles with a protein base. So whether it's chicken breast or chicken thighs, like the great thing about keto is it's the higher fat cuts of meat are okay to eat. So they're the cheaper cuts of fat. So
Right.
if you're having like full fat ground beef, or you don't even have to, you can eat a chicken breast if you want. You don't have to get your fat from your protein, but yeah, so it's basically protein and veggies, whether it's a salad with some cheese and chicken on it and some high fat dressing, or you're having broccoli with butter and a steak. That's delicious. You can make a pizza too. Like there's low carb tortillas, and I put Alfredo sauce and chicken and cheese and bacon and have a delicious little meal.
So I'm hearing a lot of meats.
Yeah.
I heard cheese in there. We're allowed to have cheese?
Yes. So I think one thing that people confuse and they think about keto is they are immediately go like, oh, I don't want to have a heart attack. That's high fat, and they freak out. But that's not the case at all. You're not like drinking butter. Okay. This is you're eating a lot of vegetables, not sort of the high carb ones, but like lettuce and cucumber and tomatoes are okay to eat. And when you're roasting veggies, broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, those are your options. You can have peppers too. But I don't follow a ketogenic diet where I'm making like the cheese tortillas, or, I don't know, eating the jalapeno poppers with cream cheese. And you can do that. There's like healthy ways to eat keto and there's unhealthy ways to eat keto, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of unhealthy things that are high carb, like cheese. But some people try to limit their dairy. It just depends on how you feel, essentially. You can do it however you want. But I find that when you eat more vegetables, and the protein, like it's just a healthy balance. I eat a lot of salads. So when people are like, that's unhealthy, it's like this salad is not unhealthy. It might have high fat dressing on it, but my body's actually using that for energy. And I get to feel full all the time. So that's the weird thing about keto, and the reason why it's so successful for people is because your body actually sends like signals when you're in that fat burning state to your body to stop you from feeling like the grumbly tummy. It's a weird like physiological switch that your body has. And I think it's from maybe back in the day when you would be like hunting for food and you would feast on food, and then you'd have to fast a very long time before you would get to find food again.
Right.
And essentially your body stays comfortable in that state and doesn't feel hungry.
Right. It's built in us to know. Interesting.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure sugar's just 100% out the window.
Well, kind of,
Okay.
not true. A lot of people think it's zero sugar, but I've always followed a ketogenic diet in which you're allowed 20 to 30 grams of carbs a day. And so 1 gram of carb is 1 gram of sugar.
Okay.
So you could have up to 30 grams of straight sugar a day. You had everything else that had no carbs. You just ate chicken all day, and then you wanted to have an Oreo or two, which is not much. Like 30 grams of sugar is not much.
Does not go far.
No, but so it's not like you have to completely abstain, but it would be really tricky to incorporate a lot of sugar. But there's some foods that have a couple of grams here or there, and people on the internet will hunt you down and be like, that's not keto. But the keto police don't seem to be around so much anymore, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, they can go away.
Yeah.
So this time around with your journey, you've realized that you don't need to be. That's not the best fit for Joe, is to go 100% keto. You like to kind of have a little bit more balance.
Yes, that's been my fight probably my whole life, is finding that balance. You know, those people that are just like they seem like they're naturally skinny and they just like eat the right portions, and then sometimes they have a slice of pizza. They don't eat the whole thing, they just seem to have this balance. That has been like the golden coveted ticket for me my whole life, because I was not thin growing up. Like when I was a teenager, when I graduated high school, I was 180 pounds. I was I was overweight my whole like junior high all the way up. Boys called me fat. I got made fun of all the time. And it was not fun. But I've always wanted to just be able to maintain and just stay in a healthy size. So what I have learned from doing the 1,000 days of keto was that doing 1,000 days of keto and tracking my calories that entire time, I didn't end up with the perfect body. I was actually like really thin, and that's why I started weight training, so I could try to build my muscles and actually gain some weight. And I learned though that, there's moments like life's too short never to have your favorite foods. And I just don't want to live my entire life like saying, oh, I can't have a potato chip or I can't have a French fry when I love those foods. And just because I'm keto doesn't mean I can't. So when I just more recently, like I'm 6 weeks back to following this version of my keto, which has been interesting, which focuses on like 90% keto, 10% not, which breaks down to about 2 meals a week where I can eat whatever I want, whether it's a cookie or McDonald's or pizza, whatever. I can go to a restaurant and I can have an appetizer and a dish and dessert, and it's okay, whatever I want, because 90% is most of the time. And what you do most of the time is going to give you the results. So in the past, 5 weeks, I'm down over 10 pounds, maybe 11 pounds now from having 2 cheat meals a week and following the ketogenic diet when I'm not having those off-plan meals. And I still have people that, hater people that come around and are like, oh, you're not really keto and blah, blah, blah. And I am over 6 days a week. That's what I'm doing pretty much.
Who are they to decide? I don't know.
Who are you? Like, I don't know who you are, but I know who I am, and I'm enjoying my life, and I'm enjoying social time and memories with my kids and the ability to go to Christmas dinner and not have to say, oh, sorry, I can't eat that apple pie you made or whatever. Like, I just get to let go and relax, which is great for your mental health and allowing that balance. And so I seemingly have found it. I have found the ability for me to sort of regulate my weight again while still enjoying my life and some of my favorite foods. And it's felt really quite manageable.
Very cool. When you have your cheat days, what is your calling? What is waiting for you all the time? What's your go-to snacks?
What is waiting for me? Well, like I do look at my calendar and I see what's going on. So we hosted a family event, and that was a turkey dinner. So I was able to have the stuffing and potatoes and all of that stuff and not really overthink it.
Okay.
I don't know. I will tell you, because I don't really have one key thing that I yearn for, because on keto, you just don't have a lot of cravings. So you're kind of like how do I want to spend this meal or these calories? It's kind of like you're budgeting. Okay. You know how you if you're on a budget, your finances are going to go smooth, and sometimes you splurge. That's kind of what this is like, if I could make a metaphor for it. But I will say, when I first got back to keto and I was starting to see results, I actually had to force myself to eat off plan. So my first off plan meal was like a salad that had apples in it.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I really went on a ledge there. Karen did give me some of her French fries, so I had a little bit of those, but I was nervous because here I was it's kind of like trying to swim and then you're taking your water wings off. I was swimming really well with the water wings, and I was like, oh, if I have this off-plan meal, is it going to throw me off and I'm going to fail and I got to tell everyone that I'm not doing well? But no, so I had to kind of encourage myself to be like, no, balance is what you want, not getting skinny as fast as possible, not living this having these unrealistic expectations. Let's find this manageable, consistent way for you to eat. So yeah, we went to Kelsey's the other day and I had French fries and chicken strips and honey garlic sauce, and it was delicious. But nice. I didn't even finish it all. And normally I would be clearing my plate because I don't know when I'm going to have that again.
Right.
But I could go back in 3 days and go get it again if I want. Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, and I'm sure a lot of what you're saying is, you don't crave those things as much. I'm sure there's a struggle period at the beginning because it's so built into you, and we're so addicted to things like sugar and stuff like that, that you have to get on the other side of that before you start feeling the benefits of it. Would you agree?
I've done it so many times in and out that it seems okay for me. But yeah, in the beginning, you're definitely having to wean yourself off. It's probably like trying to cut out coffee or smoking or anything else. food is a drug. I don't think people really realize that. And oftentimes when we're overweight, it's because we've been using it as a coping mechanism. You have a rough day and you just want to go eat something that's going to fill that void. And I think many of us share that drug of choice. But other people, you might be that you have a drink, but for a lot of us, it's like we want to just eat food. So it's about trying to get over, like, once you get it out of your system, it becomes insurmountably easy to stick with it, to like say no to the donuts that someone brought in from work or things like that. It does become a lot simpler.
Right. Well, very cool. If I was wanting to learn a little bit more about keto, is there any websites or books or videos or anything that you might recommend to somebody?
I have a book.
You do, don't you?
I do.
Tell us a bit about that.
So I have a beginner's keto guide that I wrote. I actually wrote one initially after I'd done the first 6 weeks of keto because I was getting hundreds of questions a day. No joke of a lie. Is that what you say? Joke of a lie.
It works. We're sticking with it.
Does it work? Okay. No, I just was getting so many requests that I created a short guide. And then over the years, as I learned more, I completely rewrote it. So I have this really lovely digital PDF guide on my website that explains basically for how do you start and how do you get where you want to go? How do you set those goals along the way? And it's all on my website, KetoinCanada.com, as well as all my social profiles. I'm on YouTube, KetoinCanada, Instagram, KetoinCanada, Facebook, KetoinCanada, and TikTok. And I share lots of recipes and things like that on my social channels.
And what I do love about your social channels too is like you're kind of saying earlier, you share life too. You're very open and real about how your day's going and sharing the wonderful things you're doing with your family.
I share what I can. Sometimes I am sad too. Yeah. I cry on there. I don't like the idea that social media is only a highlight reel. So I am here for the community and the support that people bring me. But sometimes the things that I share aren't necessarily my news to share, or it wouldn't be appropriate. Like if something bad happened at work, right, and then I went on there and started talking poorly about my workplace, then that would not fare well for me. So I do respect the privacy, and like there's certain things I don't share, but I do share a lot.
Right.
I share good finds. I share fashion finds sometimes if I find something good or I find a good deal, or I'm trying new keto foods and something's delicious. I'm definitely going to share where I got it and how much it was and how much I loved it. So
very cool. Well, and you've also, I had gotten to know you, and then I had seen, after I've known you for a little bit, I had seen you had shared a video of kind of, it was a bit of a before and after. And I didn't realize how far your journey has come. Like you really, it's clear that you've put a lot of work into your self-care and taking care of yourself. So it's wonderfully inspirational to see it's possible if you have the right mindset and you're driven and you actually want to see that change. Focus on that, focus on yourself, and you can see incredible growth. So it's very impressive. I have one final question for you. Okay. If you're not a coffee drinker, because I know this about you, you don't like coffee.
I don't drink. I've never had a cup of coffee. Not even one.
That doesn't make sense to me, but to each their own, I suppose. What's your go-to? If somebody says, hey, Joanna, let's go out for coffee, what are you drinking?
That is the most awkward conversation. People always ask me to go for coffee, and I wanted to say, like, I used to say, I don't drink coffee, but I'll drink water.
You just sit there with a glass of water. That's as fun as you get.
I've never gone for coffee with someone. I've never gotten to that point because
I'm sorry, Joanna, we can't be friends.
He's kicking you off the show.
You know what? I don't need the coffee, Rob. I just need your company. That's all.
I understand where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. And the sentiment is nice. But
the sentiment is nice. I think I like Diet Pepsi.
Okay, there you go.
I'll enjoy a Diet Pepsi, and you can enjoy your coffee, and we'll chat. Okay. And I'll get 5 refills. I mean, we could sit there all day. It's okay.
Okay. All right. Listen, I hate to break up the party, but we have sort of come to the end of our time frame.
It's about that time,
And
isn't it, Rob?
I did want to, just as you were talking and I was listening in the background there, I did want to share a quick story. A friend of mine,
Of course.
who him and his wife had decided to try a particular diet, which I won't mention by name. And he said it was going not too badly until we had a very unfortunate misunderstanding and a miscommunication. Because he said my wife had decided to announce one day we were going to have a cheat day. And so that day she came home with a couple of pounds of bacon and a bag of Oreos and a very nice chocolate cake. Unfortunately, he came home with a secretary.
Rob,
I thought this was a real story.
that's so stupid.
You got me.
Oh, Rob. Oh, he's leaving us laughing, eh? That's a good one. All right. Well, Joanna, thank you so much for joining us today. This was an absolute pleasure. We loved having you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And once again, I want to wish you a very happy new year. I would also like to thank our guests. Thanking our audience for joining us today and getting to know Joanna Wilcox. Once again, check her socials out at KetoinCanada. And you can enjoy in how wonderful of a person she is, just like I am. But until next time, we send you all our best. Big mwah, that's a kiss to Lori, and hope that we get to see you soon. But until then, we will see you next time on Out for Coffee. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Do you have questions, comments, or ideas for a future show? Reach out to Mike and Lori on their social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or email us at mikeandlorisocials@gmail.com.